And we are live. Welcome, everyone. I'm joined with a very special guest today. We're joined with Vermalt. What's up, Vermalt? How
Hi,
are you?
I'm good.
It's nice to have you here.
You say that now.
Oh man, I don't think that transparency worked very well because it just made it like even worse on the screen.
It
The
looks like you have it over
oh, maybe that's the problem.
I think the layers are wrong.
Yeah, chat needs to go on top of it. There we go. Fixed it. See, this is what we have Vermalt here for.
For fixing the layers.
Yeah. What's up,
Koala.
Vermont? How are you?
I'm good. Bought some books today. That's always a good thing.
You get some books?
Yeah, graphic design books. Good times. A lot of money, but good times.
Well, books are cool.
Yeah.
You know what else is cool?
You want to say video games, aren't you?
Yeah.
I knew it.
Well, let's see. We usually start this with talking about what we've been playing. Um, what have you been playing, Vermont?
Well, I got back into Mass Effect Andromeda, which I'm really excited about.
So, hold on. Let's back up a little bit. Tell me about your history with Mass Effect. Because I
I,
think you like them quite a bit, don't you?
oh, I love Mass Effect. Well, I always had trouble getting into science fiction games because I usually like playing anything that's more of a fantasy setting, I guess. But my brother told me after loving the Dragon Age games so much, I had to play Mass Effect. There was no option. So I started, I don't know, 1.5 years ago when I was writing my bachelor thesis. Good timing.
Perfect
Good
time to
thing.
start.
Yeah. So I started playing Mass Effect and I thought, oh wow, I have to shoot things, which I'm really bad at. And it's a space setting. I don't know how to feel about this. Turns out I like shooting things. Turns out I love the Omni Blade even more because it's more personal, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. I just fell in love with the whole story. I love being Shepard. I think being Shepard is the coolest thing you can be. Just
Yeah.
the whole, I don't know. I just like making decisions in games and feeling bad about making decisions, even. Yeah, I slept very little doing my bachelor thesis because I didn't do my bachelor thesis. I was playing Mass Effect all night because I needed to know how it continues. And then I figured it was time to play Andromeda. Yeah, so I
So,
started.
are you playing as a male or female writer?
Always start female. Hey, you want to be Shepard? Well, I want to be Shepard. You probably wouldn't feel as a woman, do you? But I always my first playthrough of anything that's really role play. I wanna um, I wanna make the decisions I would make. I guess I want to role
Mhm.
play it as me. Probably a little bit cooler than me.
That's always interesting to me because I never I don't know if there's ever a game that I've played where I like role play as who I would actually be. I always try and put myself in the like in the mind of the character and try and like role play as what they would be. So it might not be necessarily the decisions that I would make, but I try and like think what would Shepard make in this decision.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say, I was 100% the Shepherd I was representing or playing as, but I just try and imagine what would happen if I would have been put in that position, like as Shepherd. You kind of get
Yeah,
put into the position of saving the universe, I guess. So, I mean, obviously, I'm not in the position to save the universe. But I mean, I don't know. Maybe I have to be one day. Now I'm prepared because I was Shepard for 3 games.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know.
So Mass Effect 3 wrapped up. You finished Mass Effect 3 and you wanted to move on
Yeah,
to
cried for
and
like 14 hours straight because I finished it and now my life was really empty. Well,
and
except for I had to
so
finish it.
oh yeah. That was probably part of the crying too, right?
Probably part-time, yeah.
So you wanted to move on to Mass Effect Andromeda. And so you're playing as female Ryder.
Yep.
What are your just like overall impressions so far?
Well, I'm not very far into it. I just did the first, what is it called, vault?
I think
On
so,
the
yeah.
first planet you can explore. There's still lots to do on this first planet. I just think I like the overall idea of it, going into a whole new galaxy and becoming the Pathfinder. I love being the Pathfinder. It makes me feel so important, but at the same time,
Yeah.
being in the position of Ryder and just being put there to be the Pathfinder now, it's really hard, but I really like this. I think the story idea is really good.
I think they really had a great concept with Andromeda.
Yeah.
I love that it takes place like what is it, like 600, 700 years after the original trilogy. And you're
Mm,
going, it's hundreds of years. I can't remember exactly how far it is. Um, I think it's like maybe even 800 years because I think it was like a 600-year trip and they started the
yeah, but
trip like,
right after Mass Effect 3 finishes, right?
well, I mean,
Didn't
it
I
wasn't
don't know.
right after, was it?
I don't know, maybe I have this backwards. I don't really remember. And I think it's really important to look at those games separately because
Hmm.
obviously you you're not Shepard.
Right.
And it's not even the Milky Way, so I don't know. I for now I don't get all the hate Andromeda gets. I mean, I ran into a pretty bad bug on the first planet, which was really annoying, and I didn't know how to solve it. So I spent like 20 minutes online trying to read how to solve this bug without spoiling myself, which is really hard to do, by the way. Um, yeah, I mean, I get that people are mad about bugs like this, but I like the story. Yeah, see, Gastian says it was between Mass Effect 2 and 3. It's at the same
Oh,
time. I thought so
interesting.
too.
Huh. Okay, so I guess it is just like 600 years. So I think the journey is like 600 years.
Possible.
Well, regardless, it takes place a long time after the original trilogy. Um, Gustine says they know Shep, but they don't really know about the Reapers.
They knew about the Reapers, they just didn't believe it.
Yeah, nobody believed him.
Stupid people.
Yep.
Sorry. I'm really invested in this story.
Yeah, I think a lot of people's well, first of all, I think the criticisms for Mass Effect Andromeda were way overblown. I think people just were getting to where they love to hate on EA and Dragon Age Inquisition came out before that, and um, I think for the most part, Inquisition was pretty well received, but I don't think it was as well received as the earlier Dragon Age games.
I mean, the
And
Dragon Age everyone loves to hate is the second one, which is my favorite one, so maybe I messed up. I don't know.
yeah, but I mean, like Dragon Age Inquisition, I think most people would consider that like those games. They would say it's not amazing, but it's pretty good. But then they would say like Andromeda was just really really bad. Pete the Great says Inquisition was your favorite. Okay. Um, but yeah. Anyway, I think the criticisms for Andromeda were just blown out of proportion a little. I mean, it definitely deserves some criticism because it was in a very rough state when it launched, and it definitely shouldn't have launched when it launched. But I don't think that's necessarily BioWare's fault. I think that's probably more of an EA problem that they were just pushing it out the door too quick. But the biggest thing for me that just hurts is just knowing that they just abandoned it and they're not going back to it. And I think it was really a great start to what could have been a trilogy. And I don't think that that's going to happen now.
Mm. I don't know. I really like it so far. I don't feel like I'm in a position to say much about it or too much about it yet. I enjoy the gameplay. I like the jetpack thingy. I like the exploring. I like scanning things. I could just scan things for like 4 hours straight and I would be happy.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, I love the scanning in 2 and 3, but I loved the
yeah,
Mako
yeah.
more.
Oh, the Mako, yeah.
Which the
Nothing
Mako
comes
is
to mind.
basically back in Andromeda. You get like a more
Yeah, with
advanced
the
Mako.
Nomad.
Yeah.
Oh, I love Metroid Prime.
I've never played Metroid Prime. You know,
You
there's a
should.
rumor that there's been a rumor forever that they're going to put the
That they're gonna
Metroid
make
Prime
a new
trilogy on
Metroid.
Switch.
Oh, I thought they would make a new Metroid. I just wish they would make a new Metroid, a really pretty one.
Well, so they announced Metroid Prime 4. I think they announced it during the Game Awards. They announced Dragon Age 4 also.
Yeah.
But then
See, that's just news that get me so excited that I don't care about anything else.
I know. Well,
Just give me Dragon Age 4.
the problem is they announced it, and they literally didn't have anything to show. Kind of
Yeah,
like Dragon Age 4.
excuse me, that teaser trailer was amazing.
Okay, well, this was even less than, way less than that. I think it was just a logo of Metroid Prime 4.
Let me
Um,
see.
but it was announced later on that the development was um, basically like completely scrapped and they just started over from scratch. They didn't
Oh,
like the direction that they were going.
they were
So,
probably making it for the Wii or something, and then they remembered they would put out a new console.
well, now they're probably making it for the Switch, and they'll probably keep working on that until the Switch Pro or whatever, and then you'll have
Yeah,
to
and then
buy
they're
a
gonna
Switch
make it
Pro.
more. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know when in the world we're going to get Metroid Prime 4. I wouldn't imagine it'll be anytime soon, but I really hope that they put Metroid Prime Trilogy on Switch because I would love to play them. I've heard really good things about them. But I don't think I would go back to the Wii U to play them.
Yeah, no one wants to go back to the Wii U. No one.
We almost have all of the ports from the Wii U on Switch now. There's only a couple of games that they haven't ported yet.
Yeah, I mean, they only made like 30 games for the Wii U.
Yeah.
Then they abandoned it because it's a stupid console. And I say it because I bought it because of Breath of the Wild. I'm sorry, I'm really hurt with that story. I'm not gonna tell the story again.
Poor Vermalt literally bought the Wii U for Zelda Breath of the Wild, and then it comes out on the Switch. It also came out on the Wii U, so you still got to play it. Arguably it ran better on the Wii U than it did on the Switch at launch. So there's that. Let's see. All right, so going back to Mass Effect, it's Mass Effect 3's 8th birthday. That's hard to believe. Mass Effect Andromeda came out when? 2015, 2016?
I'm always late to every game that ever comes out. So if
I
I'm really excited about a game, it's usually like 15 years old.
I really, really hope that we get a new Mass Effect. I mean, I feel like we will at some point,
Yeah.
but it's probably very, very far off. Oh, it came out
Yeah.
2017. It wasn't that long ago. March 21st, 2017.
Oh, really? Don't know.
Yeah, I would think that they would probably put all their focus on Dragon Age 4, which who knows when that's coming out. That's probably still at least a couple of years away.
Don't say that.
I'm sorry. But they're still working on Anthem. Like they're completely redoing Anthem.
Yeah, sorry, I don't care about Anthem.
Nobody cares about Anthem.
I think that's wrong because I think they make quite a bit of money with it.
I don't know. I would be curious to know how much money they made with Anthem.
I think it would just make you sad, honestly.
It might, because they might, they probably made like way more than they made on any of the other Mass Effect or Dragon Age games.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gustine says that he loves the idea of Anthem. I agree. I thought that the gameplay was pretty good. It's just like they had so many different ideas that they were trying to force into one game. And they were trying to make it be like a looter shooter and like a a co-op game, but yet also like a story-driven single-player game. But you had to it was just so frustrating to play. You had to go all the way back to the base to change out your weapons, and it took so long. It was like 10 minutes of loading. And then you would if you were playing with someone, you couldn't just skip cutscenes. Like if you had already seen them, like they had to watch the cutscenes and go through all of them and everything like that. And it was just, I don't know, it was a mess. Hi Plan, welcome in. French Toast says, I remember that in Anthem the damage calculation was broken, so the best gun was the completely unupgraded stuff. Yeah. It just blows my mind like how bad it was with those kind of things. That I remember reading about that. The original gun that you would get was just the best gun to keep. Like all of the other guns that you would get was just useless. Anyway, I don't know. Anthem is a weird story. I worry about BioWare. I don't want to break your heart, but I just worry that...
No. They're gonna do fine with Dragon Age 4. It's gonna be a really good game.
I hope it is. I really hope it is.
You're gonna watch me get my heart broken if not.
Have you been playing any other games?
I want to get back to Lego City Undercover. I really like Lego City Undercover. Yeah, but I haven't really played it. Besides that, no, not really.
I've been playing a game that you're going to play if you ever finish Andromeda.
Yeah, that's true.
I've been playing a lot of Horizon Zero Dawn. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to spoil you on anything. I want you to go
that's
into this
why
game
I'm
completely
skipping all
blind.
the stream. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's why Vermalt hasn't been in the streams. But yeah, that game is so good. I really, really cannot wait for you to play it and cannot wait to talk about it with you. It's just, to me, it's one of the most original science fiction stories that I've ever experienced. And the gameplay is so fun. The world is interesting. It's got one of, I think, the strongest characters in a game with Aloy. Just about everything in that game is great, except for the lip sync animations. They're not that great. So just be prepared for that.
I don't mind stuff like that because, again, I usually play games
either.
like 15 years old, so graphics don't mean much to me.
Yeah. Well, I think the thing about this game is everything in this game looks so good that because the kind of lip sync animations are just like a little behind, it just stands out a little bit more.
Yeah. I mean, with someone having experience in video editing, though, you can tell if the lip movement is off the sound.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not so much like they're like out of sync. It's just like
it's just the whole movement.
Yeah, it's like a puppet, that's not really opening its mouth enough.
Let's see.
But the voice acting is top notch, so I feel like it just makes up for all of that. But yeah, Horizon is great. I don't want to say anything other than it's fantastic. If you haven't played it, go out and play it.
I'm gonna get really mad if someone spoils me.
Yes, please don't spoil Vermalt. Gustian went out and bought it the other day. I think just from watching me play it. It's just so good. I can't wait for you to play it, and I can't wait to talk to you about it.
I'm really excited about playing it, but I have to finish Andromeda first because I can't play games parallel when both are really focused on the story. That's kind of, I get invested in one story. I can't be invested in two stories at once. I
Yeah.
literally have nightmares from being the Pathfinder and trying to save a whole nation.
Oh, I'm curious to know how Andromeda ends. And please don't say anything in chat for anybody that's played it because Vermalt is obviously playing it right now, and I haven't finished it. And I
Yeah,
kind
finish
of want
it.
to go back and play it. I think what I'm gonna do is
You should start
finish.
over.
Yeah, well, I'll definitely start over because I don't remember anything about that game. uh,
Yeah,
you know how bad my memory in games are.
that's true.
Um, uh, but what was I gonna say? Um,
You want to finish Mass Effect 3 at some
oh,
point, which
right,
I
yeah,
don't think ever's gonna happen.
it's gonna happen. I'm gonna finish Horizon, and then I think I'm gonna go back to Mass Effect 3 and finish that, and then maybe I'll take a short break because I don't want to just go from like right from 3 to Andromeda. But I think I do want to go into Andromeda.
Hmm.
Gustian, that would have been a big spoiler for me past a couple of months ago, but I just watched I just watched the Harry Potter movies.
I mean, it's
Let's
been a
see.
while. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, I'm catching up on chat. Plan says the only thing he really likes in Andromeda was the huge fights. They are really fun and well made. Yeah,
The
I think
fighting in general was really good. The battle,
yeah,
the
the
combat.
gameplay is fantastic. I think it's probably the best out of the series. But to me, Mass Effect has never really been about the gameplay. It's always been about like the story and the characters and everything like that.
Yeah, but I mean, if the gameplay is really bad, you wouldn't want to finish it. And I don't know.
I've
I
put up
don't
with
know.
some pretty janky gameplay to get through if there's like a really good story. I will gladly put up with bad gameplay if it has a story payoff.
Mm.
I mean, I would argue that Mass Effect 1's gameplay is not great.
It's great.
It's pretty janky.
Yeah,
I mean,
especially compared to the other ones.
yeah,
But see, I
I
think it
like
was
it.
really good though. Because I started playing Mass Effect 1 with no abilities of playing shooters, nor, feeling comfortable with space settings or whatever. So
Hmm.
I ended up um, starting out, and I felt comfortable after a while with, the whole shooter thing situation. I mean, it's not a full on shooter, but still, there's lots of shooting involved. And I learned that pretty decently. And I felt weird going into Mass Effect 2 after finishing Mass Effect 1 about the combat or the little things they tweaked. But I got used to it so quickly, and then it soon became better for me than the gameplay in 1. And the same thing happened to me starting with 3. I felt kind of weird because they changed it. But I mean, I played them really back to back. I didn't put it down at all.
Right.
So I guess that's part of why it felt kind of off because I literally stopped Mass Effect 1 and went into 2 and so on.
Can you still pause in Andromeda?
What do you mean?
Like, can you still pause the combat and like issue commands and that kind of stuff?
I'm not sure. I don't think I ever tried that. I'm focused on myself.
Can you not do that in the console versions of 1 through 3? Like pause
I
the game and issue
look,
commands?
I was learning how to shoot in a video game. I didn't have time to look out for my squad mates.
Plan says you can't. It's a full-on action gameplay now. Okay. Um yeah, I did kind of like that in the original trilogy that you could pause because I would do that sometimes in like especially if you were playing on a harder difficulty, it would be good to like
Yeah, you
pause and
need
then,
to.
issue
I've
commands to your team.
yeah. I've talked with my brother about this because, he's the most addicted person to Mass Effect I've ever met in my entire life. He played the trilogy like 20 times, and I'm not, making this up or making it up to be more than it actually is. He actually is just about to finish Mass Effect 3 again. um, he literally tried everything story-wise that you can try. And so I had a pretty good guide on how to do things, I mean, he didn't spoil me or anything, but he told me to do like certain missions before others, as soon as he knew where I was, without saying anything, because he knows those games backwards, basically.
See, I need you to be my guide for Dragon Age, I feel like.
I'm so excited. I love Dragon Age.
I really want to play those games. I think I get really overwhelmed with the combat, and I don't really know what I'm supposed to be doing a lot of times.
I don't understand why you get overwhelmed with it. I think I had to watch you play so we can figure out what's overwhelming for you.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I feel like I need to be pausing the combat more, because I'm not really good with like real time tactics games like that.
Tactics, I see.
And I need to like pause the game more and kind of learn what the abilities do, and
I
always want to micromanage more with those things.
I think in a way Dragon Age is really overwhelming with, having a squad or a party and all those abilities, and it's a lot at once. This is how I felt going into them for the first time. But obviously, the more you know about the games, the easier it gets, I feel like.
Yeah. I'm just reading chat. Plan says Dragon Age is one of the best games ever.
Agreed. Which one, though? All of them, obviously.
The only thing you really have to know is always go for the mages / ranged enemies first, or you're doomed.
Yeah, I mean, mages can be pretty big trouble. I feel like, especially if you play as a mage in the beginning, it seems like you're super underpowered. You die so quickly if you're not careful.
I'm going to play those games. I'm going to go through them, and it's going to be fantastic. I just need to prepare myself and learn how to play the games.
It's gonna be fine.
All right, let's see. I think what we'll do is there's a bunch of stuff that happened this week, so I'm just gonna run through some stories, and you can comment on anything that you want to comment on. Actually, we could start out with this. Have you ever heard of Baldur's Gate? You know anything about the Baldur's Gate games?
Oh, look. I might be something people would call a casual gamer or more of a casual gamer, but I know games.
So Baldur's Gate, did you ever play any of the Baldur's Gate games?
No. I've watched some of it, but I haven't played one.
I think that BioWare made Baldur's Gates, didn't they?
Possible. Don't know.
I'm just looking it up. Yeah, BioWare worked on the original Baldur's Gate games. So that's kind of a good segue to talk about Baldur's Gate 3, which was handed off to Larian Studios. Now, I don't know if you've heard of Larian Studios, but have you ever heard of a game called Divinity Original Sin 2?
Oh, yeah. There's someone that wants me to play it all the time.
This game is so good, Verms. It's so good. I feel like you would really like it. The way that you like and enjoy Dragon Age, and it's turn-based, so you can pause and you can micromanage as much as you want. Gustin says at this point, Hal should be sponsored by them. I want you to play Divinity Original Sin 2, or at least try it out. And we could play it in co-op. I think it would be so fun.
Wait, me or Gustin? I'm confused there.
What?
Wait, do you want me to play it or you want Gustin to play it?
I want everyone to play this game, but I definitely want you to play it. But yeah, so anyway, Larian Studios has kind of become a very well loved studio in the PC gaming world, and they have for a long time been working on the Divinity games. They put out a lot of Divinity games. I still want people to try out Divinity 2, not just Original Sin 2, but the original Divinity 2, because it's highly underrated, and everyone should definitely check it out. But nobody's ever going to do it because I can't ever get anyone to check it out.
Look, you said it. It's a PC gaming thing,
Yeah.
and there you have the problem. I'm on a Mac. Don't tell anyone.
Well, Divinity, you can, Original Sin 2, you can play on consoles as well. Plan says I think Icewind Dale and Neverwinter Nights even made. Then wait, are even
It's
better than
even
Baldur's
better
Gate.
than
Sorry. Yeah,
just read it as it is.
I know. I have trouble reading sometimes. Um, Neverwinter Nights 2, I think I played a tiny bit of, but I couldn't really understand it because that's when I was just getting into games. Those games are a little complex. Anyway, Baldur's Gate. So Larian Studios has the IP for Baldur's Gate 3 now. They're working on that. They put out a gameplay video of it. It looks very, very good. It's centered more around the D&D universe, which I don't know anything about, but I know people are really excited about it. And it looks a lot like Divinity Original Sin 2, which I think is really good because that game is fantastic. They're going to be releasing it in early access sometime early this year, and then they'll keep working on it and put it out probably, I would say, within a year or so. Yeah, it looks like it's going to shape up to be a really good game, and it's a really cool studio that's working on it. So I just wanted to mention them, and yeah.
Which game do you like?
Divinity Original Sin 2.
Oh, okay, I didn't catch that.
It was Divinity. Did I tell you that?
Oh, was it Divinity? You said.
Mm-hmm.
Which one?
Divinity Original Sin 2.
Okay, let's stop this.
You ever heard of a game called Half-Life?
Oh boy.
That's another PC game. You haven't played Portal, right?
No.
I think
Never
you
played
need to play
Portal.
Portal. I think you would really, really like those games, and you can play them on your fancy consoles.
I know it's the fancy PC, not the fancy consoles. Remember?
Actually, can you play? Does anyone in chat know if you can play Portal 1 and 2 on current gen consoles? I need to look this up.
I think but I don't know, but I'm pretty sure you can play it on the 360.
Oh yeah, you have a 360. Yeah, you can definitely play it on those. Portal 2 was for PlayStation? I have no idea. I played everything on PC.
PlayStation?
I'm pretty sure
It
that
was not exclusive.
no, they weren't exclusive. I don't think. Portal 2 in motion. I don't know what that is. I don't think that there is a way to play Portal 1 and 2 on PS4 or Xbox One. Maybe through backwards compatibility on Xbox One. That's really, really a shame. Portal 1 and 2 were for everything? Oh, right. The consoles and PC, but they're not available on current gen, which is just really, really a shame. Except Nintendo, yeah. Koala says, I think Foster played Portal via Wine on Linux, so that should work on Mac OS. Oh, yeah, you can play them on Mac. They're definitely available on Mac. But Vermalt has something against playing PC games, like even on Mac.
Yeah, it's a personal problem.
Anyway, okay, Half-Life. So, do you know anything about the Half-Life games?
Yeah, I watched a playthrough of Half-Life 1.
Really? I've never
Yeah.
even played Half-Life 1.
I mean, I did it quite a while ago, and I probably don't remember hardly anything about it, but I know I watched it.
Did you ever watch Half-Life 2?
Don't think so. Can't remember anyway.
Interesting. Okay. Well,
I know.
there was a fan project that has been working on um, basically recreating Half-Life 1 in the Half-Life 2 engine, and I
Mhm.
don't know how long they've been working on this.
Is that
Um,
legal? Can you do that as long as you don't sell it, probably?
well, they are selling it.
Wait, is that
But
legal?
I don't know how they got around this, but I think that Valve like basically told them that it was okay to do this. Like um, they just gave them the okay to do this because they are selling it, and this game has been in early access forever. But it is now officially out and available for sale. It's $19.99,
What
and
is this? Teleshopping?
and you can buy it now. Um, but yeah, it looks really cool. It's a it's a full on remake of the original Half-Life 1.
Interesting.
It's not just like a port with just, up-res textures or anything like that.
I see.
So I think it's a pretty cool way to play through Half-Life 1 if you've never played it. And then of course we have Half-Life Alyx that is coming out, which is kind of a
That's the
weird thing.
VR one, right?
That's the VR one. That's going to be coming out March 23rd, I think it is.
Oh, that's in 3 weeks.
It's very soon, yeah. They kind of just like all of a
Oh.
sudden, out of nowhere, announced that Half-Life was coming out.
Mhm.
Um, French is saying, didn't Valve buy that project? I don't know. It's made by the developers are Crowbar Collective. Maybe Valve bought Crowbar Collective. I don't really know how they're getting around selling it, but I know that I did read that like Valve said it was okay, basically.
Yeah, I mean, if they're selling it, there must be, some sort of okay or agreement.
Yeah. But yeah, this game's been out in early access for a long time. It's gotten great reviews, so I imagine it's going to be fantastic. Um, and it's pretty cool that it's officially out now. Let's see what else we got. You ever heard of Ghost Recon? Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon.
I'm not sure, actually.
Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon was a game that I started playing way back in like 2000, like the early 2000s, and it was like
Mhm.
a tactical, um, kind of military type shooter that you had a group of AI teammates and you would like set up missions to go on, and it was just like a very tactical kind of hardcore.
Oh, yeah. No, 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 I know what that is, yeah. Never played it, though.
Yeah, I wouldn't think it would be your kind of a game.
Doesn't look like it, honestly. No offense.
So Ubisoft, for a long time ago, bought out the developers of Ghost Recon, and they've put out kind of their version of Ghost Recon, which is like every other Ubisoft game now, with radio towers and mountains to climb and open world and co-op and all of that stuff. A lot of
Mhm.
people were very upset about it. Some people liked it though. But last year they came out with their newest game, Tom Clancy's Breakpoint, Ghost Recon Breakpoint, and it was a disaster. It was like one of the lowest rated games that they've put out recently. It just got panned by everyone. There were all kinds of people talking about all kinds of bugs that were in the game. I played a tiny bit of it, and I didn't think it was as bad as people were talking about. A lot of people seem to just really overblow this stuff, kind of like Mass Effect Andromeda. But I
Yeah, I
mean,
mean, that happens with many
it
things.
it wasn't great. So like Ubisoft does, they keep working on these games after they put them out, and they just put out a new press release saying that there's a big update coming on March 24th, and you'll be able to choose between two different modes. There's the regular experience, that is kind of the original way that they put it out,
Is it
where
really called regular experience?
it's literally called regular experience.
That's a really lame name. I'm sorry.
It says playtime Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Breakpoint the way it was released, with gear level and tiered loot. That was one of the big things that people were upset about. Is it you had a gear level for everything, and you had tiered loot, and it was kind of becoming more like the Division or like Borderlands or something like that, with just all these different pieces of gear and loot and things like that that you had to pick up, and it was just annoying. But now you can play the immersive experience.
See, that sounds kind of more exciting than regular experience.
Yeah. You can also play custom experience.
Yeah, no, that doesn't do it for me.
Immersive experience is a brand new experience of the game that removes gear and tiered loot entirely and offers new tactical options. You can completely customize the HUD. You can customize how your character manages stamina, health
Why
regen.
isn't it custom mode though? I have a question about this. If
Why?
I can customize so many things, why wouldn't it be custom mode?
Well, I don't know. I guess that's part of custom mode as well. I guess you could like put in tiered loot in custom mode. You could put in tiered loot, but maybe not gear level or something. I don't know. They're giving you the choice though, which I think is good, and they're working on improving the AI. I know that there were a lot of complaints about the AI. So I'm glad to see that they're working on this game. I think it's sad that we live in a world where they put out games that are basically unfinished, and they just, keep working on them after they put them out.
Yeah, that always makes me think about the good old N64 days. When the game wasn't working, you were taking it out and blowing inside of it and shoving it back in.
There was one, I think it was an N64 game. This is way before I played games. So I never played N64 games, but I believe there was an N64 game that was so broken that, obviously you couldn't like download a patch. So Nintendo put out like some kind of program that you would go to trade it in at the store and get like a new cart to bring it for.
Yeah, I mean that's the only option they had.
It's bizarre that that's the world that we used to live in. But yeah, that'll be out March 24th, so I could see maybe checking that out and going back to that. Let's see. Oh, speaking of birthdays, we were talking about Mass Effect 3's 8th birthday. The PlayStation also had a birthday. PlayStation 2 turned 20 years old March 4th.
Yeah, that's right.
Did you have a PS2?
Yeah.
I never had a PS2. What was your favorite PS2 game?
Final Fantasy X.
That was PS2? Yeah, I guess it was.
Yeah.
That was like early 2000s?
I don't know anything about release dates. I was a kid and I enjoyed playing that game. I loved Final Fantasy X. I think I've played it 3 times or something, which is a lot because I usually don't go back and play games again, except for Yeah, I guess from a now point of view, this is a lie because I feel like I only play 5 games. I keep replaying those.
I didn't realize you had played that game 3 times, though.
Yeah.
That's like an 80-hour game.
Yeah, I mean, back then I also needed help from my big brother to finish some hard parts for me,
Yeah.
But it was just, I don't know, I was mesmerized watching my brother play it, and I just couldn't help it. Every time he was out of the house, I would be playing. And I remember very specifically overriding one of his save games, and I cried apologizing to him. Turns out it wasn't even bad. He wasn't mad at all. I guess he was kind of shocked that I was crying so much over overriding a save game. Good times.
I've been wanting to replay that game. I really, really enjoyed my time with it. I think I'm pretty sure, if I remember right, I just saw that. I didn't read the article, but the headline was Japan's favorite game is Final Fantasy X.
I couldn't blame them for that because it's a great game. And I'm still planning
Um,
on doing the Lulu cosplay one day. It's gonna happen.
Lulu cosplay. I loved Lulu.
I love Lulu.
Speaking of Final Fantasy, you ever heard of Final Fantasy VII?
It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. I love.
Vermalt is convinced that this game is not going to come out.
Yeah, this is my personal conspiracy theory. Final Fantasy VII remake never gonna happen. I'm obsessed. Or I used to be very obsessed with Final Fantasy VII. And then they started talking about the remake, and I literally cried finding out about the remake because I got so excited about it. And then I don't know what happened. It seems like it disappeared for quite a while. And now
Yeah.
they put out this demo. I don't know. I don't want to see anything about it because if this game, if it's actually gonna come out,
It's coming out. It just went gold.
it's not gonna happen.
Do you know what it means when a game goes gold? That means it's finished.
It's not gonna happen.
Well,
I'm just
okay.
kidding. It happens eventually. And
Part one
I'm
is happening. That's what scares me.
yeah. No, I'm really excited about it actually. I'm gonna go full on fangirl mode on Cloud again if it happens.
Are you going to play it? Do you think you'll play it?
Yeah, obviously I'm gonna play it if it comes out. It's gonna be the same thing with Zelda, you know, no matter how much I cry about the Switch and Wii U thing, if they're gonna say they're gonna make another Zelda, I'm gonna buy the new console, no matter what it does to me.
So it's coming out April 16th, I think, now.
Well, that's what they
Really.
say.
Let's see. April 10th, sorry. So we're just
Kind
a
of
little
like,
over a
like
month
a late
away.
birthday present.
Yeah. But the big thing that I worry about is this is part one of question mark. They literally have not said anything about the other parts.
You know what's gonna be even worse than them not doing it? Them not finishing it.
I know, that's what I'm really worried about. Because
it's gonna happen. It's just gonna take up to 12 or 15 years until they are finished with it.
that's the thing. Square takes so long for these games. I mean, look at, Kingdom Hearts 3. And that was a huge disappointment for people. I really, really am worried that this part one is going to be like amazing and everyone's going to get super excited, and then we're just not going to hear anything for like 5 years. And then, part two is going to come out, and then again, like, nobody knows how many parts there's going to be. Everybody's speculating. Some people are like, oh, it's going to be 2 parts, but they haven't said that.
It would be kind of weird though to spread it out even more than doing 2 parts, honestly.
But the thing is, I don't know anything about Final Fantasy VII, but everything that I've heard is that this game takes place in like just a very, very, very tiny part of the original game. It's like the first 2 hours of the game, but they've expanded that to like a 40-hour game.
Yeah, that sounds kind of worrying. I try and avoid every news now on Final Fantasy VII because I want to go in as blind as possible.
This part takes place just in Midgard, if that tells you anything. Mm-hmm. And from what I understand is that's just like a tiny part of the original game that is just like the very first. So everybody is just, not sure on what that means, like how many parts there's going to be, how long it's going to take for the next part to come out.
Yeah, but I mean, how many parts of a game can you make, honestly? Obviously a lot, because I'm willing to play Dragon Age 47 or something.
I don't know. I would honestly be fine with an episodic type format if it was like If it was like
I
6
feel like
months.
no, I don't like the episodic thing situation. I don't know.
I mean,
It's the
yeah, I
same
would
with, I mean,
prefer
I
to get
can.
the full game, but if they're going to go episodic, if it was like, you get the first part and then 6 months later you get part 2, maybe they do like 4 parts and it's over the course of 2 years. Yeah.
That's a no for me.
Prince says the original had 4 discs.
Yeah, that would make sense to make it 4 parts, I guess, but I forgot about that.
You remember when you had games like that you had to install, and they had, or I don't know if it was like this on consoles, but I used to get PC games, and I think one PC game came on like 8 discs or something like that, and you had to sit there and install the game for like 3 hours, and it would install. You'd see the Windows XP loading bar go across, and then it would be like insert disc 3 of 8.
No, but the funny thing about the console version of that is, I guess, that you had to switch out the city, so you were just working somewhere, doing your thing, being all adventurous, and then
It would just
you would
pop up
just
and
get a
say insert
you would
disc
just get
2.
a weird screen, and it would say, "Please put in disc whatever."
Prince says, I remember getting 6 disc PC games, and then when it was done installing, my PC wouldn't run it. I ran into
Yeah.
that too. Yeah. Back when I was a kid, I would like save up my allowance and go and buy a game, and I would be so nervous that it wouldn't run because we had just like a terrible computer that
Yep,
didn't really even have a
this is
graphics
what I
card or
don't
anything.
like about PC gaming. I have to worry about things like that, and I'm not good with stuff like this.
Well,
I want to put
that was
things
like
into
in
my console.
1998.
Yeah, maybe I'm still living in 1998.
Booting up Windows 1998.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Let's see what else we got. We talked about Ghost Recon. We talked about Half-Life. We talked about Baldur's Gate. Gustian brought up E3.
Yeah.
We could talk a little bit about that. I've been a huge fan of watching the E3 conferences for I don't even know how long, probably 5 years or so. But I think it's time to finally put E3 in the grave. It's dead.
That's harsh. You don't even want to call emergency or something.
Nope. There's no reviving it. There's no putting
It's
it on
just
life support. It's just we're putting it out of its misery.
I don't
E3
know.
is dead.
I think the problem with that is that everyone is just doing their own events and putting so much money and time and effort into those specific events
Mm-hmm.
compared to putting all of what they got into E3.
Yeah, so Sony used to do, in my opinion, some of the greatest conferences ever, like the 2016, 2017 press conference, the 2017 one especially. That one is just one of the most memorable press conferences.
Wait,
It's
which
when
one was that?
that's the one that they had the live orchestra, and
Yeah.
they introduced God of War,
Mm-hmm.
and Horizon, and I can't even remember what else. There was also the one that I think it was 2015 where they introduced the Final Fantasy VII remake. People went crazy over that. Shenmue 3. I can't remember the other ones. They've just always done such a good job, I think, at presenting these. And they pulled out last year. Sony pulled out last year, and everybody was just kind of thinking that it was just going to be a one-off thing, that Sony just didn't really have much to show, so
And
didn't
then they
really.
would come back with the PS5
Yeah,
or something.
everybody was expecting that they would be back. It's a new console year is coming out this year, so everybody was just expecting them to come out hard, and they said, nope, we're not going. And on top of that, we've got all of the coronavirus stuff going around. That GDC
Reality
was
is I'm sorry, reality is having his own conspiracy theories
The
here.
PS5 is a lie. I mean,
It's the
we haven't seen it.
conspiracy theory podcast today.
um, um, I do think it's interesting that, I wonder, I don't know anything about supply chain or anything like that, but I wonder if there's any chance that these new consoles are delayed because of the coronavirus, because, I mean, sadly, they're all made in China. All of these things are all made in China.
I
And
mean,
they're not in great shape over there as far as being able to go to work.
there's a bunch of things going on because of this. If you think about this, they even delayed the start of the new James Bond movie because they're
Yeah,
worried
that was
they won't make
delayed.
as many millions as
Hmm.
they would if people wouldn't be scared to go outside.
This is really random, but did you hear about the movie Cats that came out, last December,
Oh,
and they they I guess rushed it out, and they were missing like CG parts of the movie, and
really?
so they had to literally like download a patch for the movie. The theaters had to download a patch that
With
fixed
like
the
add-on
CG.
cats?
No, I don't think it was. It wasn't like add-on cats or anything, but like Judy Dench, I think, was wearing a wedding ring, and like they had to edit that out. And then there were some things that just like looked really really bad that
This
they
is stuff I will never
just
get.
hadn't fully
And
rendered or something like that.
that's really
It was really weird. I just thought it was so funny that we've gotten to where movies they're literally downloading patches for movies now.
I'm
Um,
not really interested in a whole movie to begin with, but it's kind of weird that we come to patching movies now.
uh,
And this is really funny if you think about it, because I think Lord of the Rings was edited like really super last minute
mm,
before it
interesting.
would have been premiered. I think the last one was it. I'm throwing around like half knowledge at this point, but I'm pretty sure there was
Uh,
one Lord of the Rings movies that wasn't
the
finished up
Hobbit
until
or
last.
the
No,
actual Lord
no,
of the
Lord
Rings?
of the Rings. They
I don't
finished it
know.
like the night before the editing, or this is what rumor says. I don't know. It's probably just like a legend thing, but I think it's really funny thought that them standing behind the editor and the editor's just being like, "Give me like 10 more minutes, okay?"
Yeah,
and
everybody's just standing over the shoulder of the
yeah,
editor, and
and
the
working
editor's
in a
just like
creative
freaking out.
field.
It's
Sometimes
11:58 at night.
working in a creative field, sometimes it just feels like this, just give me 10 more minutes, please.
Can can you imagine if they like they re-released Cats and they put like koalas saying like Cats version 1.5 is now
Yeah.
out. Oh man, this is weird. What kind of world do we live in?
Oh,
Um, but yeah, going back to E3,
yeah.
E3 just seems like a mess this year. Um, they're they haven't made a final decision on whether they're going to have E3. They're currently still planning to
They are
go on
looking
with
at
it.
it though, at the whole situation. This is what I read today, that they were looking and
Yeah,
really
but I mean the thing
carefully looking
is
over it.
they can plan it all they want, but if people start pulling out like they did at GDC, if all of the companies start pulling out, then there's not going to be anybody there. It's just going to be a ghost town. And there's already Sony's not going to be there. Nintendo is kind of going to be there. They just show their video. Microsoft is going to be there, but they have a theater literally right next to E3, so
Yeah.
they're there, but they're not really there.
It's kind of
And
sad though.
it is because I used to love watching all of the E3 press conferences, and it was just a time when all of these companies came together and you just got all of this news at once. But the thing is, I think that we're still going to get that. It's just going to be delivered in a little bit different way of doing it. Like, Sony is still probably going to have their state of play, they call them, which is, just
Yeah, but
a
I
Nintendo
like
Direct
having
style
all
thing.
of it. Yeah, I like having all of it at once, and, like,
I
I
know.
like them having to put effort into those shows and
I
doing
know.
something
The live
different.
shows, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm the same way. But if you look at it from their point of view, why would they do that? You know, why would they risk doing a live demo of a game when they can expertly produce those edited videos and deliver a seamless experience like that?
Yeah.
Um, it it just doesn't make any sense, sadly, for them to do that. And I hate that we're
Mm,
coming to that, but that's just kind of the way it goes.
yeah. Still gonna be, interesting to see if they're actually gonna have it from a, like, virus point of view,
Yeah.
since they're canceling big events, up until, I think, June or July, things get canceled already.
Yeah. We'll just have to wait and see. I think it really is just going to depend on, if companies start pulling out or not. And if they do, they might not have any choice
Mhm.
than to cancel it. Gustine says, I know that the guy that was in charge of planning E3 usually wasn't happy with it, with what was going on this year. He wanted it to be more like the Steam Game Awards or something. Yeah, there's been all kinds of talk about them just really changing the way that they do things, and they want to have more celebrity appearances. And honestly, everything that they're talking about sounds bad to me. um, I do think it would be cool to do more like what they did at the Game Awards last year, where they allowed people to have like a digital ticket to where you could download demos on Steam. And it was like a 48-hour period that you could download a bunch of demos and play through the games
That's
just at your own
Yeah,
home.
that's an interesting concept though, and one that makes sense, I guess.
Yeah, and you could absolutely do that on the consoles as well. You could just put like a limited time demo for
Mm,
those games, and you'd be able to reach a lot more people that way. I would love to go to these conferences and be able to play these demos, but I just can't make it to
yeah, I
California,
don't
and I don't
yeah,
think I would even
see,
want
but
to.
right. I went to Gamescom once and it wasn't fun. I mean, that might just be me, but I don't like standing in lines. I don't like many people, and it's just, as someone who likes to go to anime conventions, it's a whole different world, and I don't like this different world.
Yeah.
I like the more personal conventions that are on the smaller side compared to like a mass
Well, I
event.
mean, it doesn't get much bigger than Gamescom. Gamescom is like massive compared to E3 even.
Yeah, I just didn't
Um,
enjoy the experience there, honestly.
yeah, I definitely feel like I would be the same. French though says, didn't Ouya do a live demo? I'm pretty sure they did. Yeah, that it didn't work. Ouya was a mess. You know what Ouya was?
Yeah.
Um, let's see what else we got. E3. We talked about that. I think that's about it. We can look at and see what's coming up this week in games. Um, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon comes out. I bet that's where Each is. He's probably playing Pokemon.
He's playing Pokemon.
Yep.
Possible.
Ori and the Will of the Wisps. That comes out
Oh,
March
people are
11th.
really excited about this. I'm too mad to play the Ori games. I can't. Or the Ori game, the first
They're
one.
so sad.
I know.
I get
And then the
so
gameplay is just.
depressed.
And the gameplay is so hard for me for some reason.
Yeah,
I just
those
can't do
platformers are tough.
it. But it's really cool. I wish I would be better at it. So I would
Yeah,
probably have finished it or at least tried to, but no way for me. It was too bad to do it.
they're beautiful games.
Yeah.
I I tried to play Ori, the first one,
And the Blind
and
Forest.
yeah, and I think I could probably get through it, but I was not prepared for how sad it was going to be in the beginning.
Yeah, but I think I mean they did a fantastic job with that, honestly. I think that's really good design of a game if
They
it makes you
did. I just
feel
wasn't prepared for it. I mean, I'm prepared
yeah.
now, but that game is heartbreaking in the beginning.
It
And I
truly
was like,
is.
I don't want to play this game now.
Yeah, especially if it because it looks like a really nice and fun game. And you start it and you realize it's not just cute; it's ripping out your heart.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, it was just too tough, and I didn't enjoy it. I mean, that sounds really weird, I guess, but I am that bad at playing games.
Yeah, you should play a game called Hollow Knight. It's super easy.
I've seen False Joe play some of this.
I really like that game, but it is ridiculously hard. That's about it that's coming out. Neo 2 comes out next Friday. That's
You
gonna
are
be a
excited about this, aren't you?
I am. I liked the first Neo. It's kind of a
Didn't you
Souls-like
play the
game.
demo on stream?
I did. Yeah, I think I did. I was a little disappointed in that they didn't really change anything. It seems like it's just kind of the same game, just new environments. And I really
Compared to
hoped.
what the demo? I'm confused.
I'm sorry. What'd you say?
Compared to what the demo?
No, the original Neo, Neo 1.
Oh, I
It
see.
it felt just like the exact same game. Um,
Oh,
but I mean, the gameplay wasn't terrible. It just was a little repetitive, and the enemies were there was not enough variety in enemies. I didn't feel like,
yeah. I
you know.
mean, but if um, wait, are you talking about the demo or the first one? Now I'm confused again.
Sorry, I'm making this confusing. So the first one, I liked the first one quite a bit,
Mm-hmm.
um, but there were just a couple of problems. It got a little bit repetitive. The
Oh,
level
okay.
design wasn't fantastic, and the variety of the enemies was just really bad. Like you were
Mhm,
80
I see.
hours in and still fighting the exact same characters or enemies
Mhm.
that you were fighting 2 hours into the game. And to me, the demo, I only played a little bit of the demo, but it felt just like Neo 1. It felt kind of like the same
Mhm.
environments, the same fighting style, kind of the same enemies. They were a little bit different, but they weren't really that different.
I
But I
see.
have heard that they listened to a lot of people complain about that and they worked on that, so maybe it'll be better. But either way, I
Mhm.
think that game will do pretty well. And yeah, that's pretty much it. We got some other big games coming out later this month, but that's just about it that's coming out this week. But we have Doom Eternal, we have Animal Crossing, Half Life, Persona 5, One
Mm.
Piece Pirate Warriors 4.
I'm excited about
Um, yeah, so we're starting to finally get some games that are coming out. That's exciting. But I think that's going to do it for us today. You got anything else you want to talk about, Vermalt?
that. No. I don't know. I have no idea what I'm doing.
You did fantastic. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you for having me, I guess.
Well, I think that's going to do it for us, guys. Thank you all for being here. Thank you once again to Vermalt. We love having you here. And I will be back next week. I hope that we're probably going to finish Horizon next week. So I'm excited about finishing that up.
What do you
And
think you're gonna play after Horizon?
I think I'm going to go to Mass Effect 3 and finish that. I may take a little break and, like, I don't know, maybe there's a small little game that I'll play just to kind of cleanse my palate before I jump back into a really big, long game like Mass Effect. But I don't think I have too much of Mass Effect 3 left. We're a good ways into it, but I feel like
Yeah.
it's going to take a little time just to kind of get back into it.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's going to do it for us. So thank you all for being here, and I hope you all have a wonderful weekend, and we will see you next time. Bye, everyone.
Bye.